y'all? Happy Good Friday and welcome to Guardian Chronicles Let's Talk Live. We are on episode 49. Today is going to be a wonderful day. We have Skye White with us. We're talking about saying no to burnout for caregivers. So, she's amazing. She's going to give you guys some tips, some tricks, some gems, some everything to help prevent you guys from burning out. Um, the show's in the morning now. Some of you guys may be used to it being at 6. So 11 a.m. is typically the show time. And just keep in mind that sometimes it may be at 6 depending on guest availability. So I want to give that as a disclaimer. So let's jump right into this. We have Skye on here right now, so let me get her in. So, I hope I didn't say good night earlier. I don't know. It's early, guys. Good morning. Hi,
Hi.
Skye.
Hi,
Hi. How are
Christina. How are you
you?
doing? I'm
I'm good.
okay.
Good, good, good. I was like, I hope I said good morning because I'm used to doing this show in the evening.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, again, guys, welcome to Guardian Chronicles. Let's talk live. We are on episode 49, and I have Skye White with me, and she is going to go over her caregiving journey, what made her go into the caregiving consulting space to help caregivers like myself not go into burnout, to find resources, and to help us in the case that we need things, such as getting assistance with legal matters. We may need assistance with trying to prioritize things, just all kinds of gems and things she's going to go ahead and drop on us. So I'm going to let you take the lead. We're going to start off with the first question being, what made you be a caregiver consultant? What made you go down that space?
Okay. Can you hear me? Because I don't, are these earphones weird or is it
Oh,
okay?
I
The
hear you
sound.
perfectly
Okay.
fine.
Okay, good. Well, my partner started getting sick several years ago, I would say 4 years ago. And at the time I was working full time. And like many caregivers, I just suddenly found myself thrust into the space of trying to take care of him.
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot of very strange neurological conditions. At the beginning, I didn't know that it was neurological. I actually thought that he was just acting out at me. So, for example, we were going to a place that we both knew, and he was texting me because he couldn't find it, or he
Hmm.
forgot my birthday,
Okay.
or he was having a very hard time telling the difference between a hand towel and a bath towel. There were a lot of weird things. At the beginning, I thought it was just, him acting out. And at a certain point, I realized he had a neurological problem. So
Wow.
suddenly was in a situation where I had to try to understand what was going on with him,
Mm-hmm.
try to get him to the doctors because he didn't and still doesn't really think there's anything wrong with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then the doctors wouldn't really listen to me because I was just the caregiver. And my partner at that time didn't have very serious symptoms. So it was a very difficult, isolating situation to be in because I was working full time. I was trying to help him. I then became very concerned if he had a neurological issue about all of the related things. So, like the advanced care directives and the
Mm-hmm.
wills and all the things that we didn't have at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a very overwhelming situation, and there was basically no help. Like there was no help from the medical, establishment. There was no help. There was nobody who was worrying about like me as a caregiver suddenly being in this role.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it took several years. It took 2.5 years to get a diagnosis. And
Wow.
then, by the time we had a diagnosis, it was like I had changed jobs and I just felt like I wanted to be supportive of other caregivers and be an advocate for the stress that caregivers confront,
Mm-hmm.
and do what I can to both help individuals and also try to, bring visibility to the issue in society and with the medical establishment and with the different organizations where like I try to plug in and do my part
Mm-hmm.
basically.
Yeah, I get it. And, first and foremost, I'm sorry to hear about your partner.
Too.
I can only imagine what you would have been going through. My similarity is with my mom and not being able to find resources for her, not being able to find out how do I become, like you said, a guardian, a caregiver, legally, something that stamps me to be able to help, and I'm not getting
Yeah,
turned away from doctors and social workers and things like that. So I appreciate you being in this space to be able to help caregivers to be able to navigate, because it's not an easy process when you have a loved one that's not able to make those decisions on their own, and then here
yeah,
it is, they're pushing you away and you can help. So I think that
right.
that's a beautiful thing that you're doing. And
Thank you so
oh,
much.
Sky, you're amazing.
Oh,
Now,
thank you so much.
I do want to go into just a little bit what services you provide
Sure.
and just let you expand on that a bit.
Okay. Well, I mean, I basically do pretty much anything that a caregiver needs. And one of the things that kind of annoyed me about the whole question of the way caregivers are addressed, there are a number of programs that do help caregivers. There are hotlines, there are support groups, and it is possible to find that if you know how to find them, which
Mhm.
many people don't know how to find them. But I also think part of the stress of being a caregiver is just the sheer amount of work. And so, like, anytime there's somebody who has an illness where they're basically, very restricted to the home, the onus of taking care of that person is on somebody else.
Right.
And that can mean, so basically, caregivers just find themselves in a position where they're being buried in work, and so I wanted to help caregivers in a way that was more concrete and that also aligns with my abilities because I was a project manager for a long time. And so I will do almost anything for a caregiver. Like, for example, if somebody who had a close loved one who was dying of cancer and they wanted to move their loved one into their house and they just needed help with the move. So I was
Hmm.
like, fine, I will organize the move. I will find the contractors to set up your apartment to help your loved one. Because
Awesome.
sometimes if you're already so stressed out, like that's the kind of thing that can push you over the edge. Like, oh my God,
Yes.
how do I do that? And sometimes people just have more simple needs, like they don't know how to keep track of symptoms, they don't know how to talk to the doctors. Sometimes
Hmm.
they just need support going through that process because if you don't have already a circle of support or a network of people to help you, it
Hmm.
all of those things can be very overwhelming.
Yes.
So I am kind of the jack of all trades. That's why I sort of talk about being a personal assistant because I can help people in whatever ways correspond with their needs in that moment.
Okay. Now, along with helping with moves, legalities such as like maybe power of attorneys, things like that, do you
Yeah.
assist with maybe medication management, in that
Well, what
arena?
I can do, I don't do any, I really am not, and I'm a caregiver already for my partner. So I
Mhm.
don't actually caregive for somebody who is sick.
Okay.
But what I can do is, for example, help find a pharmacy. Like there are pharmacies that will put together all the medications already prepackaged, already in order, deliver it to
Hmm.
your house. So I can help with
Coordinating that.
facilitating the medical, administration of drugs for a caregiver, or if they need help finding a doctor, or if they need help with any of that kind of stuff, what I can do is like find a way to facilitate whatever their needs are to make medication management easier. Maybe a
Okay.
home care helper who just comes for, a tiny amount of every day to do the medications if the person is working or like that kind of thing.
Okay. Now, in your experience, what aspects of caregiving have you found to be most challenging?
Um, I don't know about you. I mean, my personal issue honestly is patience. Like I did a
Mm,
post about it because honestly, it's so overwhelming.
yes.
And I don't think it's fair to my partner to, like I don't know how it is with like bipolar schizophrenia, but I do think
Mhm.
it's common that in dementia in any case, even when they don't necessarily cognitively understand something, they remain very responsive to emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm aware of that and I want to be like sort of compassionate and loving with my partner, even when he's agitated or
Mm-hmm.
very anxiety ridden or, acting out about something. But honestly, I do feel sometimes like it's kind of catching, So if
Yeah.
he gets
Yeah.
very anxiety ridden and he's like worked up, like it will make me,
Worked up.
yes, it will, it will.
I like
And
that
and
realness.
and so, I have to really like find ways to manage that in myself because
Mm-hmm.
I'm also used to dealing with, getting things done and being
Right.
organized and all the things. And so it really has been something that I work on in myself to just stay patient and try to
Mm-hmm.
give him like the love he deserves. And also it's hard because this you probably also have this problem, but like I I it's hard for me to completely understand his world
Yeah.
because he loses bits of memory and he sometimes
Mm-hmm.
has hallucinations and certain things happen and
Mm-hmm.
so I really try to understand what is he upset about.
Right.
But if I'm upset, then I can't sort of help him. So that's probably for me the biggest challenge. I think everybody has their own challenges. I don't know what your challenge, how you
I
feel.
agree with you. I agree with you 100%. Patience with my mom. Oh my gosh. My best friend Melissa is on here right now. And hey, Mario, I see you.
Hi.
Hey, guys, the joint. But when it comes to my mom and the hallucinations, I go down my Instagram and I just hear all the perfect caregivers like, oh, you have to be patient with them. And oh, whatever you do, don't yell back at them. Me and my mom
Yeah.
be like, do, 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 do
Yeah.
sometimes. And it's just the being human. I do
Yeah.
my best to be patient with my mom, but sometimes my mom in her schizophrenia with her diagnosis, she never acknowledges that she has
Yeah.
schizophrenia. Whereas there are some people that have the ability to acknowledge. They call it, I believe it's anacognesia. I'll get it wrong on every lie.
Anosognosia. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that's what it
My
is.
partner has that as well.
I get it wrong on every live every time I say it.
It's okay.
But
It's okay.
it's like it's hard. It's very hard
Yeah.
because I wish that my mom can tell me like, "Hey, this voice is bothering me." And every now and then she'll say, oh, I hear a bad angel. She'll do that.
Yeah.
So I'll say, okay, you know what? Let me go with that. Okay, where is that bad angel? Is it standing
Yeah.
over here? Like I did something similar in 2020 where I had a neighbor tell me her son has schizophrenia and autism. And they were driving and he was like, Ma, it's a guy next to me right now. And she's like, really? So she pulled
Yeah.
over and she opened the door and she said, get out.
Oh,
So
good
I
for
did
her.
something like that with my
Yeah.
mom in 2020 when I was filming Guardian Chronicles, and my mom I brought her for like a week or two. And here was same thing, but I just opened my door and was like, because my mom was like, he and the woman is right there. And I'm like, really? Oh, I'm gonna tell them to get out. So
Yeah.
I have moments where I do have the patience. I can work with the hallucinations and things like that. But then it's like sometimes, like yesterday, as a prime example, my mom is like, oh, I just can't. So I'm like, Mom, what's going on? Just out the blue, I can't.
Yeah,
Well, we on the
yeah.
phone talking, and she like, I can't. I'm like, okay, well, Mom, what's going on? Oh, nothing. Everything is fine. What are you doing? So I was like,
Yeah.
Mom, you just said you can't. Oh, don't worry about that. I said, okay. Then she said, leave me alone. I said, are you talking about me? No, don't pay no attention to me. I'm like, Ma, but if it's something bothering you, tell me so I can help you get through it. So what
Yeah.
I've learned to do is not even address it, believe it or not, with my mom. I think it's a person to person type of thing. And with my mom, I think she's the type of person that wants to just deal with it on her own and she doesn't want
Yeah.
me involved. And she has said that to doctors when she's been inpatient going through psychosis. She would say things like, I don't want her to know what's going on. She just wants
Yeah.
me to stay out of it. So I try to just ignore it, but it's hard if I'm in the living room, she's in the bedroom, she yells. Like how
Yeah.
Kathy just said, she said her husband yells at the hallucinations. When I bring
Yeah.
my mom to visit, it's like I'm watching TV and it's like, leave me alone. Like,
Yeah.
and it's every now and then, but it's still frustrating.
Yeah.
So the patience, like you said, I was sitting there listening calm, like,
Yeah, yeah, it's hard.
now,
And I agree with
uh,
you. Like I think there's not enough acknowledgement that we are going to lose our patience sometimes and we
yeah,
are going to get, burned out and we are going to get our own anxiety and
hmm
our own problems. Like,
yes,
I mean, some people I think maybe have just a very, I don't know. But I have the same problem with as you. Like my partner has anosognosia, so he can't tell me. So what I try to do also is like, and this has worked for me because also he's getting worse, so I
okay,
have to I'm trying to train myself to be more aware of like the little small things. So for
hmm
example, he's probably like your mom, like he likes to do everything by himself. He's also a very shy, like he's kind of
oh,
withdrawn, he like
okay,
loves to like watch TV and like play his
yeah,
music and stuff like that. um, and so what it means for him to be agitated is actually
hmm
very subtle. And like
mm,
I can tell when he's getting agitated, but it's very subtle. Like, are we going to watch TV? Are we going to watch
right,
TV? Are we going to watch TV? So, it's this very subtle thing, but like, why does he need that right now? Because he's actually agitated or he
right,
has anxiety. So, for
hmm
example, one time I was leaving just for one day, but, I had organized everything and then he kept being like, what day are you leaving? What day are you leaving? What, because it was like he had anxiety and he couldn't remember until almost every single day he kept asking me, even though it was written down, so
hmm
it's things like that. Like I'm trying to become more aware of what that means for him, his anxiety, but it's not necessarily that easy because he's
yeah.
not going to tell me that.
Yes. And I love, Sky, that we're talking about this and we're being raw and real about it because not to take away from caregivers that may have that additional patience, with their loved ones, but that's easy to talk about, right? That's the
Yeah,
easy
yeah,
part. It's hard to be transparent like this because it's like people don't want to hear that. They're like, what do you mean? They can't help it. Why? What are you talking about? But it
yeah,
happens. Now,
yeah,
there are ways to cope, with their conditions, with hallucinations and things like that, but it takes time. And honestly, let's flip it. I get on my mom nerves sometimes. I'm
yeah,
sure, even with your spouse dealing with what he's dealing with, it's like same thing. It's like they have their moments as well,
yes,
and we're only human. So I think that that's safe to say. Now, as caregivers, we have to have ways to cope. Ways to cope, meaning, okay, I've seen this happen before. It agitated me or frustrated me last time. Okay, I see we both had a moment there. So let me step away and see if, let me go into another room. Like sometimes I do
yeah,
that. I'll say, I'm just going to walk away and
yeah,
handle this differently because I just can't. I'll go outside on the porch, call my best friend, I'll go and take a walk, even. My
yeah,
mom is capable of being by herself, so
yeah.
I will take a walk. I just have different ways of coping with it. What are some ways that you use to cope with
Yeah,
those
well, okay.
frustrations?
I got some useful answers when I posted about this on Instagram, actually. So, first of all, my main techniques have been similar to yours. Like, sometimes if things are just too fraught, I do have to also just step away, like, go into
Yes.
my room, close the door, take some
Mhm.
time. If I'm in the moment, sometimes I just count backwards from 25. And I don't know why it's always
Uh,
25. It just comes into my mind, and I'll just be listening to him and I'll just be in
okay.
my mind counting backwards,
I like that.
25, 24, 20. And so I'm trying to be present, but also like stamp down my own agitation.
Yeah.
And then some of the people who posted, I'm going to try this for myself, but like one person suggested just taking a warm washcloth, putting it on yourself,
hmm
maybe also for like maybe my partner, that would be good, just like as a tactile way to divert your brain's energy into something else. Or
hmm
somebody suggested ice cubes, which I thought was a good
hmm
idea, because it also
Yes.
just mechanically, like if I'm in a situation where I'm trying, my partner has a lot of anxiety and I have a lot of anxiety, I think that would be good. Like, oh, just give me a second. I'm gonna just go get some ice cubes and hold on to them and just have
Right.
that sensory, like feeling, like kind of divert my brain from the chaos, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Another thing too, to piggyback, I will take my mom out her mental moment. Like I will say, "Hey mom, let's go to Dollar General," because she loves Dollar General. "Let's
Okay.
go to Walmart."
I love
And
that.
it kind of like resets her a little bit.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'll do that. But that's more so me trying to get her out of it, which also helps me stop being so frustrated. But
Yeah.
like you said, I love that. The ice cubes, I love that. I
The warm
really do.
washcloth.
I do the breaths too. I'll be like,
Yeah.
take
Deep
4.
breathing.
Yep, deep breathing. That really helps as well. Now,
Yeah.
I do want to speak about, as a caregiver, how do we know when we need a caregiver consultant, a personal assistant, someone to help us along? Um, I can see how that can be maybe even embarrassing for a caregiver because caregivers feel like, I got this. I don't need anybody.
Yeah.
What I can figure it out. I always figure it out. How do we know when it's time?
Well, I think that most people wait too long to get help. And I don't think you necessarily even need to have a consultant. Like, I mean, I offer a very personalized, business plan.
Mm-hmm.
I think people w- have a lot of guilt for not being able to do all of it. I think people
Mm-hmm.
have a lot of social pressure to do all of it, especially women.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think basically from the very beginning of having to manage a difficult disease, like we need to find, some way to help. I can help in
Mm-hmm.
some very specific ways, but I think often people will realize that they need to ask for help or talk with a
Mm-hmm.
consultant or talk with somebody else when they're in crisis. And
Right.
that's fine. I mean, it is important to get help when you're in crisis. But
Mm-hmm.
really, the whole process of caregiving is, I mean, some people call it a marathon and they say,
Mm-hmm.
oh, it's a marathon and not a sprint. I don't
Mm-hmm.
even think of it as a marathon. I just think of it as a life-changing event. When I became a caregiver, it was like, this is my life now. My life is very
Right.
different. I have to find some way to manage it. And I am very close. I have a number of siblings I'm very close with. I have some friends I'm very close with, and they have helped me a lot. I do wish I could hire me. I would hire me if I could. But there aren't that many people who offer like such specific services as
Right.
like what I offer. But I think basically as soon as we find ourselves in a situation as caregivers and we feel overwhelmed, that's
Yeah.
the time to ask for help. I think it's not good to wait until we're in crisis, but often people, because of so much pressure on us, like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times people are sort of in some kind of very bad situation, just
Mm-hmm.
psychologically, I think, before they realize that they haven't um, done enough to kind of protect themselves from the barrage of problems that come with being a caregiver.
Right.
So I would say anytime you feel overwhelmed is the right time to ask for help.
I agree. And also for friends and family members, if you know someone that is a caregiver, a good idea is if you notice that they're in burnout mode, you can even go to someone like Skye White, specifically her,
Yes,
and you could hire her as a caregiver as a
yes,
gift, even as a gift. Like, listen, I see
yeah,
you're going through burnout. I know, I don't know what to do to help you, but I saw this girl named Skye White. She's a caregiver consultant. She can be your assistant. She can help guide you.
yeah.
So I think that that would be an excellent gift for someone to give to their friend or to their family member or to a neighbor. Now, before we go into that, because I want to go into signs of burnout and
Sure,
how to
sure.
overcome it too, but I want to get to some of the responses that we have. So we
Okay.
have Kathy on here. Her Instagram is Living While Mentally Ill. She was also on the show before. She's
Oh, that's nice.
amazing. Hey,
Hi.
girl. She is speaking about her schizophrenia, and she states that her schizophrenia is mixed with anxiety and it really ruins her memory. I'm sorry to hear that, Kathy. And
Yeah,
I wonder if that's also the medications too, because medications and schizophrenia sometimes I hear from my mom's doctor, sometimes that can have an impact on your memory. And then when we were
yeah,
talking about ways to cope prior, she said that when she's stressed, she's putting a cold pack or ice pack in the middle of her chest. It stimulates your vagus nerve, which calms down your girl. What word is that? Parasympathetic, parasympathetic.
Parasympathetic.
Yes, parasympathetic nervous system.
Yeah,
Oh, you
yeah.
you calling all the words, okay?
I know the words. Unfortunately, I know all the lingo now.
Oh God. Thank you for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, I do want to go into signs of burnout for caregivers
Sure.
because I think what happens is we will go on and on and on and on like the Energizer battery,
Yeah.
and we're so used to it that we don't know the signs of burnout. For
Yes.
you and dealing with your clients, what have you known to be like the largest signs? Like they're just out there.
I think it really depends. And I know for myself, and I know for, some people who I've worked with and who are in my groups, but like I think it's a little unique to each person. But for
Okay.
example, I knew somebody who just had become just angry all the time. She felt trapped. She was trapped. She was with her
Yeah.
husband all the time, every day in and day out, and his dementia was declining. And sometimes people
Hmm.
with dementia, as you know, with your mom, like they really, I
Hmm.
mean, she doesn't have dementia, but they act out, and there's a lot of issues that come with being with somebody who has dementia all the time. And she
Yeah.
had just became absolutely angry, and she was just feeling trapped, and at the same time
Resentful.
kind of double trapped because she
Hmm.
had guilt, and so she didn't want to step away, and it just really became like a cycle where everything was just getting worse and worse, and then
Hmm.
she couldn't get out of it. For myself, I know just the beginning of the symptoms, and I will always take measures as soon as it starts happening to me. So for example, I tend to have a lot of physical symptoms, so like I will become insomniatic, like
Hmm.
absolutely insomniatic. And if I'm insomniatic for a period of you know, uh, like a week or two, like once I start getting into the cycle of insomnia, like I will see my shrink, I will take some kind of sleeping medication to help me sleep because I just know that's a sign. Like if I become
Hmm.
insomniatic, like I will also get migraines.
Hmm.
I have arthritis in my knees, like my arthritis will become really bad. Like I will get pain symptoms, like the pain and the stress is expressing itself physically in my body.
Right.
And so I think I've known somebody who just also sometimes people will just check out. Like,
Mhm.
I just can't do it and I'm not going to, and I will do nothing, and I'm exhausted and I can't get out of my exhaustion. And so I think for some people it just looks like inability to function and not being able to kind of weigh in and, you know, sort of being totally distant from the person they're caring for and not being able to plug in anymore. So I think the way that manifests with different people, I mean, I'm not a psychologist or anything, but I mean, in my experience, the way that manifests with people depends a little bit on the person. And
Hmm.
like for myself, I just know, yeah, I just know the signs. I know the signs
Yeah.
because unfortunately I've kind of been in that place. And
Yes.
I don't, how do you feel about burnout?
Coping and burnout. How do I know the signs? Let's see. It's so many.
Yeah.
So, with my mom, just like you, with having years of experience with your partner, I've been a caregiver for 20 plus years. And
Wow.
even most recently, I'll speak on those signs, like because I recently found out I had an aneurysm, that
Yeah.
can be caused due to stress. How I 100% knew is I started feeling like when my mom wanted to come visit for weekends and things, it would give me anxiety. It would make my stomach tight. It would make
Yeah.
me feel like I love you. I enjoy spending time with you. But at the same time, it does take a lot out of me when I am spending time with my mom sometimes. I don't know what I'm going to get. Sometimes my mom is nice, smooth, calm, everything is great. But then sometimes she's hearing these voices. She makes up situations out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like she has all of her beautiful things at my home, like her clothes and jewelry and stuff. She
Oh,
will come to my home and she'll just be like, somebody stole my things. And I'm like,
yeah.
no, mom, no one stole anything. Yes, they did. And then she's
Yep.
like, I no. And she just is screaming. And I'm just like, I don't know what I'm going to get. And even most recently, my mom wanted to come visit for Easter. And she's been going through a lot. She has stage 1 cancer, and I've been doing my best to balance my burnout because that was the moment that I realized I was burnt out when this
Yeah.
anxiety is just like, oh my God, me bringing her here. I know I'm going to make her happy by bringing her with me and giving her a break from her assisted living home. But at the same time, I got to make sure that she's good and then also I have to deal with her voices like she does.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's work for her and then it becomes work for me because it's a domino
Right.
effect, you know?
Right.
So I knew that I was burnt out when I started feeling like that. I enjoy spending time with my mom, but I had to balance it in a way of instead of me bringing you home with me to visit for a weekend, I'll come to you and we'll go
Yeah.
shopping. We'll go to a restaurant and then I won't see you the next day, but maybe I'll come the day after. I
Yeah.
had to learn how to cope with burnout in that way. Because at the end of the day, as a caregiver and as her legal guardian, it is my responsibility to make
That's
sure
right.
that she's okay. But
Yeah.
I've learned that I have to do it with balance. And it is
Yeah.
okay to say no. It is
Yeah.
okay to, you know what, Ma, I love you, but I can't come over today. Or no, you can't come over for this weekend. I'll come next weekend. And if next weekend comes, or I'll bring her with me, if that comes and I'm like, you know what, I'm still not ready, I'll
Yeah.
express that to her. I've
Yeah.
learned that it's easier to express it via text than via phone.
Yeah.
Via text, my mom, her thoughts are so much better and she's so much more able to focus and put everything in text more so in her voice in the way that she
Yeah.
comprehends things. So I notice I will just send her a text and say, hey, mom, I know I said last weekend and I said this weekend, but I'm sorry. I'll tell her the truth. I
Yeah.
had a long work week. I had
Yeah.
some
I think
things
that's so
happen.
brave of you and important that you do that. I think that's,
Yeah, I have to.
because it is hard. I mean, because there is also that pressure that the person we're caring for wants our attention and they want to be with
Correct.
us. And it is very challenging to also, I mean, that's partly where the guilt comes from is
It
that
is.
they want to be with you.
Yes.
And I think that's so important that you're able to kind of recognize the signs in yourself and like set boundaries. I think that's really beautiful. Because
Yeah.
actually, I think a good way to look at it, and one of the ways I try to look at it for myself, is that
Hmm.
when I set boundaries for myself and for my own survival, that is the best thing that is a gift to my partner. Like he doesn't
Right.
maybe view it that way in that moment, but the
Right.
reality is like the gift that I can give to my partner is by trying to make sure that I don't get burned out, that I can handle all of the things happening in my life, that I will be able to allow a better kind of situation and conditions for him and his disease as it progresses
Yes.
if I learn to say no and I learn to sort
Hmm.
of, defend um, sort of aspects of my personal space to the extent that's possible. And then
Yes.
of course sometimes there's an emergency, and if there's an emergency and I have to spend the whole night in the emergency room, fine. I mean, then that's obviously the priority. But
Hmm.
as a day-to-day, struggle, I guess I would say, I think it's very important to be able to find gentle ways to say no.
Yes.
So
Definitely gentle.
yeah,
Now, I will say, my mom and I have had moments where they are not always gentle
yeah,
because
yeah,
for the most part they are, but we've had moments where my mom has been with me for 2 weeks and I haven't hung out with my friends, my partner, maybe a little bit.
yeah,
And she wants to stay longer.
yeah,
And now she's going off on me. And she's like, well, you love your friends more than you love me. And all this stuff, and you spend your money on them. And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't spend my money on
yeah.
my friends. And here come the patience part. So I'm like,
Yeah,
Mom, I'm not doing that. I just need some me time. I just need some time with my friends, my partner, my this, my that. And then sometimes it does go into a bicker, you know? But
Yeah.
then afterwards, we're both like, I'm more so the first person to say I'm sorry because she's my mother. So she has the
Yeah.
ultimate respect factor there, you know?
Yeah,
So
of
I'll be the
course.
first to, I apologize, mom. I shouldn't have been bickering with you, but I
That's
was trying to
sweet.
get my point across, right?
Yeah, of
So
course.
I do think gentle conversations are extremely important, but I also want everyone watching to know that sometimes you're not perfect, and
Yeah.
sometimes things are going to happen. You're going to have
Yeah, of
moments, and don't
course.
beat yourself up about it. Just
Yeah.
work on it and do better and try to maneuver into being more gentle as needed.
Yeah.
But you're going to have moments where you're tired of each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And by gentle, I actually didn't mean like necessarily as
Yeah.
you laid out, it isn't always possible to have those conversations in the moment in a gentle way. But
Yeah.
by gentle, what I meant was like, I never blame my partner for me needing to take time for myself. So like I would never have a conversation with him where I would say, like, you are too much of a burden. Like you are doing these things. Like
Hmm.
this is too hard for me. Like you know, like by gentle, I don't mean like not sometimes bickering or having a small struggle, but I just mean like I try and I I think it sounds like what you do is similar to kind of my framework, which is like I just try to put it as like these are my needs. And
Hmm.
also to try to present it to him like, you know, here's a way you could really help me. And that
Yeah.
is like you could help me
Hmm.
by, you know, doing your thing for this day because I really
Yes.
need to do this. And so like I, and honestly it is helpful for me that he does that. So I try to like
Yes.
really pose it in a framework of like these are my needs and you can be
Hmm.
really helpful and
I
never
agree.
putting the onus on him as like you
Hmm.
know he's sick. He's sick
Yeah.
and so I just try to always remember that like this is an illness. He doesn't have any
Hmm.
control over it. And so I guess maybe it's not always in the most gentle way, but like I always try to make sure that the framework for that is like in a way that doesn't um just doesn't blame him as a person or you know make
Yes.
it about his illness being a problem or
Hmm.
him being like wrong or like wanting too much. You know, I
Hmm.
try to always frame it in terms of my needs and him helping
Hmm.
me and trying to remember that this is a gift to him that I can give this to myself, you know, and that he can help
Yes.
me.
I agree 100%. And I found myself having to reassure my mom because she'll say sometimes, well, I guess, but see, she'll do this also to guilt trip me a little bit, but she'll be like, I guess I'm too much. You don't want to go
Yeah,
shopping,
yeah,
so you want to just have some time to yourself. Fine. You know, and I'll have to be like, Ma, okay, she's having a moment.
yeah.
It works sometimes. I'll be like, okay, Ma, you know, oh, we could go shopping, or oh, okay, we can you can just stay another week or so. And I do wish I was in a position like how you are with your spouse that I was able to have my mom live with me, but I'm just not. Like mentally, I'm not. And then financially, having a caregiver 24/7, that costs a lot of money. And
Yeah,
I
it
just don't
does.
have that, you know?
Yeah,
And I think that reassurance and reassuring them, like you said, that their diagnosis is not their fault and it's not you that's making me feel this way. It's
right,
more so the situation, you know?
right.
And I think with my mom, I'll tell her, I love you, but I just need time with my friends.
Yeah,
I just need to have a moment to just be at home by myself. Sometimes I'll
of
tell her that.
course.
Sometimes I just want to be by myself because my mom will say that to me. She'll say, I just want to be by myself in the room, like in my bedroom,
Yeah,
like just just leave me alone.
yeah,
And I'm just like, okay, fine, you know?
sure.
So I love the fact that you're saying, like, listen, it's okay to say, hey, I have to do things for me. That's beautiful. And I think that that is a way that we can help prevent burnout,
Yes.
still saying no, but in a way that they understand and a way that helps both parties.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Kathy, you're saying I'm constantly telling my husband to call his friends. Well,
That's nice. Good work, Kathy.
I mean, I told my mom the same thing. My mom has a crush on someone at the senior
Oh là
club.
là.
I know. And here she go. She was like, I've never dated outside my race before. He's handsome. He
Oh
gets
my
in the
gosh.
camera. I know. He's like this. I really like your mom. I was like, she really likes you too. So
Oh,
keep
good.
talking to her. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's her
All
first
right.
interracial thing, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Why not?
yes. So now when she has moments, I asked her, like, did you ask him for his phone number? You have a cell phone, you got a smartphone. Ask him,
Yeah.
talk to him, because
Yeah.
like Kathy is saying in the comments, it's important. Like with your situation with your partner, of course, he has you, he can speak with you as much as he can, but also, you know, he has family. He has,
Right.
friends that hopefully may still be there. Are his friends, guys, still
A
there a
little
little bit
bit. With
to come in at
dementia,
times?
with
Yeah.
dementia, and I think it's probably similar with you with, bipolar schizophrenia, but there's so much social stigma.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so as he was getting sicker, I think there were a certain number of people who basically couldn't handle it and they kind of disappeared.
Wow.
So, I mean,
Okay.
I'm still really working on growing my own network of support, because
Mm-hmm.
the only way to survive as a caregiver is to really work on having a network of support and growing your network of support. And
Right.
I have a certain amount of that for myself.
Great.
And my partner, he's pretty shy, and it's a little hard
Mhm.
for me to get him to go and
Um,
call his friends.
yeah.
Um, but I really think it's important to try to seek that out and, to
Yes.
build it. And you really have to do it. Like you have to
Mm-hmm.
actually work on, like, I mean, speaking for myself anyway, I really have to work on it and I really have to do it. And I have to think like, oh, maybe this neighbor who I don't know, I could talk with them a little bit and explain the
Mm-hmm.
situation with my partner. And if I'm not here, maybe they could just stop over and get their phone number. And even at just an acquaintance like that, or making sure
Mm-hmm.
my building is aware of the problems, and
Mm-hmm.
just, trying to create a network of support for myself, but also kind
Mm-hmm.
of back up in terms of caregiving, which is really, really not easy. Because it's
Right.
so easy to get isolated because, the reality is like we are caregiving, we are at home, we are under all this pressure. So to
Mm-hmm.
actually really, go put yourself out there a little bit and like build a network, it's really not that easy.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not. But that's why I ended up building my network caregivers in the city. I built it. It's a
I
virtual
love that.
community as well as it's a physical community as well, in which we'll be coming together. We'll go out on outings as caregivers, go out on outings with loved ones so that they can have things to
I
do. But
love
then
that.
also we can speak with one another. Like you said,
Yeah.
I have caregivers in the city on Facebook. I have it in my link in the bio, and I just started it. We're going to have our first meetup this month. It's
Yay.
yeah, so of course I'm going to reach out to you because we're going to do a virtual meetup and then we're
Oh,
going
that
to
would
do a
be
face
great.
to face. So
Oh
I
my
know
God,
you're
that
in
would be
New
beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah, and with you being in New York, I'm like, you know what? I may have to have you be like a New York ambassador or something. We'll have to talk about
Absolutely.
that.
And you all are welcome anytime.
Yes, because like you said, how you're trying to build that network, it would be
Yeah,
perfect. So we'll talk about that offline. But
sure.
before we end the show, I do like what you said towards the end that we didn't get a chance to really discuss is making sure that we do build networks around us so that they know what's going on. Because
Yeah,
even though you're caregiving for your spouse, at home and he's there all the time. My mom is come and go. I
right.
always make sure to let my neighbors know that she has bipolar schizophrenia. Sometimes if she goes on the porch, she may yell, she may have, voices that she hears.
Yes,
So that way I don't have anyone calling the police. They thinking it's this big crisis. And if it is a
absolutely.
crisis, like I'll tell them too, like this is something that's bad. This means that there is a crisis. This means
Right.
it's not a crisis. So my
Yeah,
neighborhood, we're very close in this neighborhood. And
that's
I make
good. That's
sure
good.
to let them know because there have been false alarms. We see it all the time,
Of
in
course.
society. Someone is
Of
having an
course.
episode, someone with dementia
So
walks
dangerous.
away.
Yeah.
Yes, someone with schizophrenia not getting the proper treatment by the police. Now we have an
Yeah.
unjust situation. It's like we see these things every day. So that's one of the reasons why I built I wanted to build that Caregivers in the City network is
I love that
because,
you're doing that. That's beautiful.
yeah, I felt like, listen, we need to be able to have a community for ourselves.
Yes.
So I appreciate you opening that door for that conversation.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You too. I think everything you're doing is like really great. I love following you.
Oh, thank you. Same to you. I'm going to get to Kathy's comment and then we're going to get to
Okay.
your contact information.
Okay.
Kathy, you said, well, I know my husband sometimes needs some time away from me. So when I'm well enough to chill myself out, I encourage him to take a vacation.
Oh,
I
bravo.
mean,
That's great. Yeah.
girl, we're
Yeah.
going to have to do a triple live because we're going to need
Yes.
you on the next live because you got all
Yeah.
the tips
She
and
has a lot of
tricks.
really great points and ideas, and that's a gift to him. That's great.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, Sky, how can
Yes.
our followers contact you if they need assistance with prioritizing their busy lives as
Yeah.
caregivers to help prevent from burnout?
All my contact information is in my Instagram. There's like a little link menu, so you can find
Okay.
all my information there. But I have a website, which is caregiverhelpernyc.com.
Okay.
And my Insta is at caregiverhelpernyc. And, anyone can message me anytime. And my phone number is in there. I mean, I can tell you it, or I don't know, perhaps put it in the messages or something, but it's 347-202 3043. Or you can email me, Skye at caregiverhelpernyc.com.
Perfect. Perfect. Now, also, guys, just a disclaimer, Sky, you only help people within the New York City area for now, right?
Yeah.
Look, I put
I
that out
mean,
in the atmosphere.
if somebody wanted look, I mean, if somebody out of state wanted some very general help, I could help with that. I mean, the thing is like I provide a very personal service to people. So I am really most familiar with the New York City area. I have the most connections in the New York City area.
Okay.
I've been through a lot of attorneys, I've been through accountants, I've been through the medical system. I know
Hmm.
people in the end of life sphere, like a number of end of life doulas, because I don't really deal with the whole end of life, but I can help somebody
Right.
up to the point of them needing, an end of life service, hospice, whatever.
Okay.
So I work in New York City mostly because I have like the most familiarity with connections and resources in New York City.
Okay.
And of course I do know some national organizations. Like if sometimes like there was a lady in Toledo who wanted my help and I just gave her the information for Caregiver Action Network, which is a national organization. And of course they can't do such a personalized job for her, but they certainly
Okay.
could recommend, groups or other kinds of of help. So I mean, yeah, I'm most comfortable working in New York City because I know New York City and I know
Okay.
the people and all of that. I know the resources here.
You have the connections, girl. You're connected.
I'm not super connected, but I'm working on, I also learn from people. I try to learn as much as I can
Okay.
from everybody, from the end of life doulas, from all the different organizations that deal with dementia, from the
Hmm.
Parkinson's organizations, because Lewy body dementia is actually related to Parkinson's disease, from
Okay.
other caregivers. I try to learn as much as I can from as many people as I can, and I don't, I'm working on it, and I look forward to continue to learn.
Yeah, listen, me too, because I feel like it's always something to learn when it's a
Yes.
caregiver. It's always something to learn from this caregiver, that caregiver, this
Yep.
caregiver. And I love that how we can take each other's ideas and the things that we're doing and implement them and make life easier for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Sky,
Yeah.
thank you so much for
Thank
accepting my
you.
invite and coming on the show today and giving
Thank
us
you so much for
insight.
having me.
You're welcome. You're very welcome. And thank you, you guys, for being a part of Guardian Chronicles Let's Talk Live, episode 49. We will be
Yay.
back next week, and it will
Great.
be episode 50. So I may do something
Woohoo.
special.
Party.
So,
That's
you
great.
guys, watch, watch, watch. Thank you, Sky. Have a great
Okay. Thank you
day.
so, so much. You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. I don't know how to leave this.